What's up? Welcome. It is the 24th day of July 2016. My name is Doug Owen, and this is Blacklisted Radio. So good to be with you. Another crazy hot summer month. Well, we're almost at the end of this month, and July has been pretty wild. Anyway, lots to talk about. If you'd like to be part of the show, go to blacklistedradio.com. We have an interactive chat room there. You can call us. 800-313-9443 is the number. You can tweet at me. BLN Radio is the handle. And you can text us. 512-222-3067. Easy, convenient way to communicate with the show. Tonight, I am pleased to be announcing two pretty big things in my life, and I think for the show as well. In a big way. And tonight we have our new producer of Blacklisted Radio and the new co-host, none other than my good friend. Many of you know him, Craig Simpson. What's up, Craig?
Hey, everybody. This is Craig. Of course, yeah, I am here. Seattle is still here, so I'm called in. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so we've been thinking about resurrecting the Doomcast, and one of the things I'm just lacking in is time. There's so many things that I want to do, just like most of you out there, and I appreciate the hour of time that you give us each and every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for that. I really do, because time is money, and it's one thing that we're all running out of. It's a finite resource, and so it's not that I didn't want to do another separate podcast, but I thought, well, this week, Chris, one of our avid listeners, said, you need to bring Craig back on the show. A resounding voice, the majority of feedback that we get when Craig's on the show is that you need to bring Craig back because it's fun banter. It's usually pretty thought-provoking. We kind of go into a lot of different diatribes and kind of meta-analysis, which is fun. And, it's a crazy week. We're in talk radio, and I'm sure if you've been listening to any amount of it, there are plenty of things happening in the political theater world here in the United States of America that we should probably talk about a little bit. But anyway, before we get to all that, Craig said, let's do the Doomcast. And I'm like, I want to do this, man. But, getting an hour sliced out of my busy life. I've got a 2.5-year-old. And one of the other announcements is, Craig already knows this. I have my second child now on the way. We're expecting somewhere around January 5th to have an addition to the Owen tribe. Not sure if it's going to be a boy or girl yet. We're not waiting till the end. Just you have to get to the 20-week, 5-month period before you can figure out the sex. So we are very excited. It's going to be pretty crazy. This time around, most of you parents know that it's one thing to have a child. It's another thing to have a child when you already have a child. You have to keep up with that one and make sure that they're not poking the other one's eyeballs out or loving them a little too hard and choking them out. Things like that, smothering them, become bigger issues. So I'm so excited. Kind of scared. I'm not sure what my world will look like here in 2017, but it is a blessing, and we are excited. And I can only tell you that I hope for a healthy child. People always ask me, "Do you want another boy? Do you want another girl, or do you want a girl?" So you have a balance, and quite frankly, just a healthy, happy child. That is really all you can ask for. To at least have a somewhat level hand in making it here on planet Earth. So, two things. Craig, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for signing on to this non-paying gig. You get all the street cred, all the kudos in the world, but it's definitely a commitment, and I really appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners do as well.
Oh no, well, I'll make just as much as I did during Doomcast, which was so much, And no, it's good. For one thing, it'll keep me up a little bit on the news because I have to admit, the last couple months, I've gotten a little bit lazy about paying attention to what's going on in the world. I've been kind of I
wouldn't say that. You've just had to refocus. Why don't you talk about that for a moment before we get to the politics of today? But talk a little bit about your transcendence from corporate America into the wild, back into nature.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I would say. Well, okay.
Hold on, let's get some granola.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Let me. Well, yeah, granola. Well, I eat granola out of a bear skull, so it's not quite as hippie-ish. But I would say no. So I do work for the man right now. I still have a corporate day job, and that still happens. But one thing I've been doing is slowly starting a basically like primitive survival skills wilderness adventure company, basically. And the idea is go on hikes that are a couple days or a day or 2 days is kind of a good number of days. And then I learn primitive survival skills while you're doing it. So it's basically a wilderness guide, plus for those who are interested, it's primitive survival skills too. So that gets me out a lot more in nature because I'm kind of a hunter and a nature person, and I like. So this basically forces me. Once it becomes sort of a part-time gig, and you want it to be a full-time gig, you're going to be spending more and more time out there. And I mean, I still like my dishwasher and my oven in a house. I don't want a sod floor. I mean, I like comfort, but I do like nature too. So this gives me.
You're not totally going off the grid.
No, I'm not going to go live in a yurt or an old motorhome or any crazy shit like that. So, So today it was interesting. While I was out doing some hiking, just checking out new areas, I saw, Pokemon Go is just totally out of hand because, there's people who are like, no kidding, they're hiking. Like they're actually out there hiking.
That's good, man. Getting them out there looking for the Pikachus.
But they're actually they're hiking and they're actually looking for Pokemon, and it's so strange. It's just weird. Like I really can see how people walk off cliffs and fall off things, and I don't get it. Maybe I'm just too much of a nature lover, but I'm like, why would you? I don't know. I guess it's kind of the same as geocaching. Like you're looking for certain coordinates and things that have been put out there for you. I guess you're just looking for Pokemon though, but the game doesn't know not to like put it off the side of a cliff or where you can't get to it.
It should. I mean, it's running on Google Maps. So,
yeah, but they tend to they'll put people in some precarious situations, and so I've been watching this, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, And then along with that, I noticed kind of the over domestication of humanity, where like for thousands of years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, however you look at it, however you see time, humans have walked on their feet, and they've walked around and they've done just fine. What is with walking sticks? Like humans didn't used to need that, and now everybody's got these dumb sticks they're walking with. I don't know. They have walking sticks. They're chasing Pokemon. I don't know. It's kind of a sad state for humanity in some ways. Anyway, but at least I'm a wilderness guide, and I'm dragging people out there, and that's a good thing. And I
just don't shoot the mindless zombies searching for Pikachu. I was at a party last night, and there's a guy there, this Asian kid, and he's playing with his phone. He's a developer because it was a friend of mine's. His wife's birthday, and he's a developer, so a lot of coders, a lot of tech entrepreneur types, and I was just teasing one of my other friends about Pokemon, and I said, yeah, I found a Pikachu in the front yard here at Derek's, and this dude looked up and he said, oh, are you serious, man? Are you serious? And I said, no, I'm not serious. He's like, oh. I was like, oh, so you're on the Pokemon? He's like, oh, I'm so addicted. So people are. I mean, I don't know if you saw the declassified document. Actually, it's at the top of blacklistednews.com. It's well worth noting that the CIA actually weaponized an episode of Pokemon back in the 90s to visually put people into epileptic seizures. There was actually a couple kids that got sick from this, and it was a story at the time, but that's what I always think about when I think about, Pokemon itself, this idea of virtual pets and, using them to fight other pets. It's kind of like a virtual cockfighting game, if you think about it. And I've always thought that was kind of unusual, but it was the part of the Japanimation rage. And I remember the cards being really, really popular. So Vladimir Putin doesn't like it. CIA ties to Invicta, or I can't think of the name of the company. It's not Nintendo, but anyway, it's just one of these boom things that I think sweeps the nation. Everybody's, oh yeah, let's get on there. Let's buy Nintendo. And the floor is already dropping out of this thing because, it's pretty silly once people, start looking at the terms and the contracts that you have to sign into and all of the invasiveness of the app itself. That is, how they're making money. There's not in-game advertisements. So, I don't care what people do. And I think that there are some good sides of getting people, for whatever reason, motivated to get outside. I appreciate that. I think that it's a shame that they're, and I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. I mean, it's like the knockout game. Remember how horrible it was, and it was this big thing, and everybody was punching old ladies in the head, and then that just kind of dies off. Like most of the things happening in the world today, they're big news today. Some of it will be, interesting. For the sake of posterity, but current events, I guess people will be talking about the 2016 election. It's probably been the most interesting election, but many of the things, all of the, horrendous violence and bombings that have happened, and shootings and killings that we've seen over this week, and more mounting. I mean, it's hard to keep up with. It's a whirlwind of anger, it seems, or at least media coverage of events that are happening now, maybe more so than, I'm thinking where we're at maybe today, somewhere close to the late 60s as far as activism, political awareness, current issues being at the forefront of the body politic, that kind of thing. We haven't seen in a while, so it's pretty interesting, to say the least, Craig Simpson. So I have to ask you, did you see the most important speech of the year? Did you see Donald Trump and Ivanka speak at the RNC Wednesday?
I caught a couple sound bites, and that's about it. So I did not hear a lot of it, but I did hear the endless controversy in the media, on the news, about, did she rip off somebody else's speech or something like that? There was the scandal about his wife, Melankia, whatever her name is. I don't care.
Yeah. Her speechwriter basically just regurgitated some of the exact talking points that we heard out of. It was somewhere else, which were ripped from somewhere else. I mean, it's just a regurgitation. These speeches. The thing that got me about it was that I could care less about anything that came out of that woman's mouth. Not because, I don't think she's a fine person. I have no idea. Seems pretty smart to me. Speaks 5 languages. But people really hate her. They see her as this. At least the Democrats just hate her to death. But really, what is she saying? Almost nothing.
Nothing
that means anything to me in any way at all. So why do I care? I mean,
it was just hung on. I tell you, it is fun to watch the left side of the media hate Trump. I mean, it is kind of fun to watch, because I'm kind of gotten to the point of being apolitical. I really don't care, to be honest with you, which is which. I think they're all they're both failures in a way, or I should say they will be. I don't know what the end result would be if either was elected. I mean, if Hillary is, all I know is I'm sure she'll go after guns like crazy, and I like guns. But other than that, they're both kind of equally worthless to me. But watching the left lose their minds and the vindictive, spiteful hatred towards anything Trump does, or especially his wife. I don't know. I see a certain aspect of desperation, because when you're going on that much about a speech that meant nothing, where nothing was said, and you're saying, hey, this politician said nothing, just like somebody else said nothing a couple years ago. Wow, they're really grasping. It was somewhat painful to. I overheard some TV, I think some MSNBC about it, and it was just, oh my gosh, they're really desperate to hate them.
Well, of course, now we have the David Duke tweet that has the politicos talking, all the media heads, because he endorsed Donald Trump. And actually, I could bring it up here, but to quote David Duke, I mean, what he said wasn't that controversial. He didn't say, killed the Jews. He said that Trump's speech was right on. Let's see, where's his Twitter? Yeah, there he is. And that, we need to go after the elites, globalism, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. I'm looking through his timeline here. It's a few days ago. But anyway, the media, of course, went right to David Duke and mentioned it over and over again, linking, of course, Trump to the KKK, and trying to make him, seem racist, more racist than Hillary Clinton, and that's something right there to prove. I mean, we've heard about the super aggressors, the super criminals that she talked about back in the 90s. I know that's not the term, but she came up with this term that was basically a focus of groups that wanted to, really bring about racist laws for the super predator. That's it, the super predators, which are basically black kids in LA, which, I mean, some of them probably were super predators, but it became this kind of really racist term that was really referencing blacks. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? I don't care if she's a racist. There's 100 other things that make me doubt her qualifications. I don't know. Did you see the video of her epileptic seizure? She is. It turned into a kind of nasty meme on the internet. But here, let's see. It was trending on Blacklisted News. Video bizarre. Here, I'll put this in the chat room for you there, Craig. You can check out the video. Just turn the sound off. But she's like having an epileptic. I'm having one too. An epileptic type seizure. And, it really begs a lot of questions about how her health is. She had during the Benghazi trial, the coughing fits, having to wear the special glasses. She had a concussion. She has deep clots in her veins. She's taking some anti-clotting medication. And, as much as somebody in the State Department or a president would fly, that brings up questions. I mean, for me, it's the biggest thing is the fact that she took money from foreign leaders. Interestingly enough, I mean, that's the other angle of it. I don't know if you heard about the Debbie Wasserman Schultz outing today from WikiLeaks, releasing these emails that basically said that the DNC was, as we all thought, trying to throw the election for Hillary and to stymie Bernie Sanders and the Byrne supporters. So that's pretty big. She's a pretty disgusting individual and political elite that is eating a little crow today.
Oh yeah. Well, it goes to show the only one who takes out elite people the only ones who can take out elite people are elite people. So I think in a sense she's just a sacrificial lamb, really. I mean, they're just giving her the boot to save face. I mean, there's plenty of people involved in what was going on. So I mean, great. We're rid of her, but somebody equally as disgusting will replace her. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't mean anything, basically, to me at least.
Yeah, I mean, it should upset Democrats, people that believed in the party, people that gave money to Bernie Sanders, and then to have him not after all of this, endorse Hillary Clinton has to be. That's got to be really hard for a lot of people to swallow, especially the believers.
I was surprised by that. I have to admit, I was surprised to see that because there's here in Seattle, there were, and there still are some, but there were a lot of Bernie bumper stickers, and there still are some. And the difference in the Bernie supporters and the Hillary supporters, I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, I don't think there were any Bernie supporters that really considered or consider Hillary another option, like an okay option. And so I'm surprised. I don't know what to make of that. I guess ultimately Bernie Sanders just didn't have a choice. I mean, he's still going to be in the political world. He's still a senator. I mean, so what else is he going to do? I mean, he has to continue playing the game.
And the game is what it is, my friend. Hold on. We're going to take a quick break. Yeah. We'll be back with much more on the other side. Craig Simpson, new co-host of the Blacklisted Radio program. We'll be back with me on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. The show only got more interesting. I don't know if you saw this, Craig Simpson. The spitting incident. Alex Jones got his face spit upon. He made some headlines. Was there clashing with the police and out there with the bullhorn as per usual. He was up on a boat and screaming at the man and the elite and damning them all to hell and relive 1776 and something like that.
That's usually what it is. It usually sounds a lot like that, you know.
I'm paraphrasing here, but something.
Yeah, that's pretty much it every time. Yeah.
So anyway, he and the very attractive info warrior chick, the hostess, he has that there are rumors about. He and her relationship. I didn't know that he'd recently been divorced, and only because he was making some mainstream headlines did I actually check him out. Actually, Alex Jones, interestingly enough, he said publicly that I and a former Oracle radio host named Lee Rogers were both Army intelligence agents. So, you know, I take Alex with a big grain of salt. We don't see eye to eye. I think that it's just got into kind of a theatrical event that people enjoy. I know he's doing a 24-hour broadcast. I don't know how much of that's going to be commercials for his dietary supplements or whatever he's pushing these days. But anyway, he and her go to her name's Leanne McAdoo, by the way. I'm sorry for those out there keeping up. He went to the RNC and apparently he saw I think his name's Cenk, something like that. Uyghur. He's one of the Young Turks, or was the founder of the Young Turks, a pretty popular liberal show. So Alex Jones kind of crashes the set, comes by, hey bud, jumps on the set while they're doing a little talk there. Probably recording it. I don't know if it was live on their stream, but anyway, almost got to fisticuffs. This Roger Stone that was with him became one of the issues. Uyghur was screaming that this guy is a piece of crap, and I don't really know who Stone is. I haven't been following a lot of these guys and their different guests and people on the media row, really. But anyway, one of the they had a guy that's I guess he's a comedian, spit in Alex Jones's face, which it got pretty ugly. Anyway, I mean, and I think that just kind of encapsulates what the media coverage has been lately. It's Duke. It's anything to bash Donald Trump. Not that I'm a Trump fan, but this is actually pushed somebody who I thought would get no media attention, and that is Jill Stein and of course Gary Johnson kind of into the spotlight. He's actually polling 13%. If you can get a few more dissenters from the Bernie Sanders campaign to get on board with, can't get free stuff, but we can get the government from taking your stuff, libertarian mode, he might actually get some face time in these upcoming debates. So that would be interesting. I mean,
I love it because, I mean, a strong libertarian standpoint is something that, if nothing else, it's interesting to hear in any debate because it's definitely not coming from the right or the left. And I would love to see some strong libertarian candidates actually make headway just because I'm not even saying that they can fix anything, but they are the doot in the punch bowl at any political gathering because I think they're probably speaking more truth than anybody else, at least at this moment. I mean, especially because they don't really have much headway anyway, a whole lot, so they can just say what they want. I love them here in Seattle. Every time we have, the city council comes around or we have elections here in Seattle, in Washington, really. Libertarian candidates, there's always some really strong ones, and they're always they jack everything up for the rest of them because they're like the only ones that can really kind of speak. They're all kind of a little bit like Donald Trump. Not like him as far as being obnoxious, but they can just say some true things where on the left and the right, neither can say any true things. And that just jacks up the debate big time.
Well, they're not as, invested in huge multinational corporations. That's why they don't do that well. All right, quick break. Back with more on the other side. It's Blacklisted Radio. Well, the Democrats are in damage control. It's fun. It's fun to watch. Yeah, all those Trump protests, they were planning those, and the media collaboration, that should be, at the forefront of everybody's mind. I mean, it's unethical to actually send your articles to the DNC and have them look at them before sending them to your editor. So it's not that it's a non-issue, but one of the many things that I hope are eye openers for some of the people that have been the true believers, and getting some of those people off the tit of the Democratic Party. And I guess maybe if you look at the alternatives, Trump's probably a pretty hard pill to swallow for some of them people as well. So that might be the only saving grace for the Democratic Party is that, the alternative is the crazy guy you don't want to have the nukes,
It's hard times. It is hard times for true believers. I think both sides have taken a big hit. You got George W. I mean, I don't think by the time he was done, many conservatives were very happy. Now with Obama almost being done, I don't think a lot of liberals are very happy either. I think everybody's kind of crestfallen, and I say good. They had it coming.
Well, they can blame Putin. That's what they're doing now. You got to blame Putin. Putin has weaponized the WikiLeaks release. They're saying it's Russian state hackers. At least that's what Hillary's campaign manager is floating out there, is that it was the Russians. And this is Vladimir Putin, because he's a Trump fan, releasing Debbie's emails, little Debbie, exposing her right before the Democratic National Convention, which... what a police state that is going to be. When it comes to no walls, we don't like walls. Trump and his evil walls. He wants to put a wall up in Mexico. Look at that wall around the DNC, my friends. And, it's just, I know most of the listeners are like, yawn. Yeah, we know they're evil. We know that they're pedophiles. And, that's some of the better in the base. Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein, all of that. Those are the things that, people should be hearing about on the nightly news. And that's why, fortunate for you and I, Craig, and all of the listeners on RBN, that's why we have a gig, because the powers that be, the media, the political parties, even the people in them that are well-intentioned are unable to speak the truth, just like you said, going into the break, because the power backing, the money behind the machine. So so blame it on Putin. It's the Russians interfering with the election. I just love all the the fall guys, the scapegoats for the crooked politics that are happening, and being exposed. There was a new documentary that came out that I watched called Clinton Cash. It is a much needed documentary. I don't watch a lot of them, but this one really highlighted the criminality of taking bribes. Interesting that she's talking about Trump and Putin. She actually was bribed by the Russian government. Really good piece on blacklistednews.com about how she took money from the Russians while she was at the State Department. So, I mean, just the inconsistencies in her record and the things she's done. But that was some interesting revelations this week.
Oh, you there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I think that article was Clinton asserts Putin influence on Trump after taking Russian bribes. Yeah,
right.
And that documentary that's on there about the Clinton cash, that is a great one, and that's there's a lot of people I think who aren't even left or right in the country right now. Like they're a little bit kind of on the fence, and since I think the media for the most part is pushing towards hate Trump, they're kind of, for some reason, I guess they think Hillary is the answer. And so that documentary to me is like gold. I'm really enjoying just sending that to people and saying, well, how do you defend this? I guess it's strange where people just need to have a side. Like politics in our country right now, it's just sports to me. That's all it is. It's like, which sports team do you like? There's no substance to it whatsoever. Like if you don't like Trump, what that means that Hillary is the answer, or you don't like Hillary, that means that Trump is the answer. It is an odd state of affairs.
It is indeed. And not getting a lot of mention was the G20 summit that just recently happened over the weekend. G20 convened, and guess what? China and the U.S. are not happy with one another. The South China Sea deal, the Law of Sea Treaty, some of these, there was a recent ruling by the World Court, I think it was, or it was one of the world bodies against the Chinese. So, you're seeing a lot of stagnation. These are the things that they always say that this is where Hillary shines in her policy and being able to deal with China. Interestingly enough, not a lot came out of it. Really, rather than focusing on monetary issues, like the fact that the Italian, Spanish, and many Chinese banks are insolvent, and we do have a currency war going on with China. The IMF trying to move. They're pushing more of the SDR. That was another big move by the IMF announced at the G20. Interesting. A lot of the central banks talked about getting into digital currencies. So there's a lot of takeaways from the meeting. Interesting media, a lot of which we covered on Blacklisted News. But the focus was, of course, the militarization of the South Sea by the U.S. and by China. Not getting a lot of interest in the news cycle, I guess. Another interesting, huge article. This came from your Newswire. RT had a piece on it too about the U.S. Navy admitting to testing the secret weapon off the coast of Florida that caused a 3.7 magnitude earthquake this week. People were wondering what was happening. It was actually a man-made explosion in order for a military test to see the seaworthiness of a new Navy vessel. That's what they're saying. So I would speculate that it is probably a top secret weapon that they were using. But blaming it, you can't trust the government when booms and things go rattle in the night.
Yeah. That is a tough story. I mean, how, and like what did they blow something up underwater, and like how many like dolphins and sharks and fish did they kill doing that?
Don't get PETA going, man. Wow, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. And there's been a lot of recent coverage of sonar testing, and sonar arrays being used by the Navy affecting dolphins and sea creatures, and there has been some moves legally to limit the Navy's use of those devices, because of course, I mean, you're shooting sound waves into the ocean. It's going to affect marine life. There's just no doubt about it. All of it affects marine life. It's just a matter of what is the impact. But nonetheless, I mean, it's always interesting. You see him. What was it last year? There was that missile. It looked like a missile that was shot off the coast there in L.A. There was there's one of these instances happening about every 2 or 3 months where some weird testing facility, something happens, and people are shocked, amazed, and are usually scared and alarmed. But man, I think we would be kind of remiss if we didn't talk about some of the crazy things happening. Germany had another blast and explosion that killed 1, injured at least 11 at a music festival today. We have the continuation, the fallout from what's happening in post-coup Turkey. Thousands of coup prisoners raped, starved, hogtied. I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures here, but they're pretty amazingly evil. I think that they've just arrested 64 school-age children for being, ISIS and
for treason.
For treason, yeah. Yes,
for treason. School children, treason.
How dare you talk about this? Yeah, so it's pretty off the hook over there. An extended martial law, emergency powers to the president. School teachers, up to, I think it's now 50,000 people purged from schools. School children, apparently treasonous ones. And they're talking about bringing back the death penalty. It's pretty... what's your take on that? Because... I mean, I see the Gulenists, and of course Fethullah Gulen. We talked a lot about him last month. CIA operator, Bill Gates fundee recipient, blah blah blah. And you look at the seizing of this opportunity. The question is, did he stage it, or is this a State Department push to get them to play ball?
It's a tough one. I think if it was a State Department push, I think it would have been successful, because I don't see how hard it would have been. I mean, because ultimately it would have been probably our operatives in and out taking care of business, and then their dumbass troops would have just, said, "Hey, look, we did it," and shot AK-47s in the air out in the street, and bullets would have landed on people, and they'd have, killed them themselves. But with Erdogan, has such a unique name, like Tayyip Erdogan,
Erdogan,
whatever whatever his name is, yeah. So if it was the State Department, like I said, I think it would have been successful. The operators would have gone in, taken care of business, then just said, "Hey guys, look, you did it. We told you we'd say you did it. Now shoot your AK-47s in the air." But this guy, when you look at the fallout from this, did he stage it against himself to gain further powers? Was it real or not? I don't know. I wonder how long this guy can stay in power after being so barbaric afterwards. I mean, I think he's definitely shortened his life a bit, unless he, I guess, stays really cracked down on people. I mean, who the crap wants to live in Turkey now? What tourism is going to go there? I want to go there to see Glakopeki, I do. And I would go over to Istanbul and drink at night. I mean, I would like to go do things over there, but I'm like, no, and this crazy stuff is happening. So I don't know. Maybe the people would rather have a secure country with an economy that, can support tourism. It seems like if I was Turkish right now,
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think you're going to get a lot of Western tourism. There's probably some pretty nice places. I've been to Izmir, and that was, just, I'm not going to say it was a horrible city. It was actually a pretty city, but not a lot of fun, not a lot of nightlife, not a lot of things to do there, and I don't know.
Yeah. Turkey's a little bit it has some historic stuff that you might want to see as a tourist, but you can always go, Istanbul is a lot more fun, not too far away. So I mean, if you're in that area, Turkey's something you would check out. It just seems to me like the people of Turkey, I've got to be getting tired of this, because I mean, I don't know. I hope that the people. I hope there really is a coup, and the people really do get rid of this guy, because life's not looking too good from the pictures that I see over there. No matter what the cause of this was.
Right. Either way, I mean, it is exposing him for who he is, and the brutality. And I mean, this is, if these allegations are true, I mean, this is definitely war crime-esque, or I mean, it's illegal, no doubt about it. And if he's ordered the torturing and starving and raping of people, or allowed it to happen, he should be in The Hague. Not that I'm a big fan of world government bodies, but that is beyond barbarish. So anyway, yeah, I don't know where it's gonna
and then there's
play out, but it's not looking good for him in the short term, for sure.
Yeah, and as far as like other craziness, there was Nice recently, of course, the lone truckman who drove a mile, I guess, or so, running over people. And of course, everything that happens at this point is now suspect, or people are going to suspect it. They're going to say, was this real? And I don't know, when I don't mean to be too conspiratorial, but that just looks so fake to me. I don't know why, but like, how does a truck drive for a mile running over people, and people don't kind of catch on to the fact that it's happening? And
they're playing Pokemon Go.
I guess they're playing Pokemon Go. I mean, they didn't see it coming, and I could see that. I watched people almost walk off. I was up where you do like paragliding. People up top of this hill, and people were doing Pokemon Go up there, and I was getting a little concerned about some of them, to be honest with you, because you can fall off. But so you wouldn't see a truck coming either. But at the end of this, so some of my experience in the military was being like the wrecker driver, as they call it, where you're up front in the convoy, and you are basically knocking. You're in a 6x6 Kenworth, and you're just knocking things out of the way, basically, that try to stop you. And this was in Somalia, and this is gross. I know this, but I'm telling you what, you cannot. And this is disgusting, but I've been there. You can't run over that many people before your truck gets hung up on them. So I don't think he would have made it that far without getting stuck on people if he actually was running over them. Anyway, it just seems fake to me. And at the end, where you see pictures of it, it's not that torn up for all the things that it had run over, and there's no bodies stuck to it. I don't know. I would just say,
you're not buying it, huh?
I'm not buying it, because along with people, there's bikes, there's baby carriages, there's crap, there's trash cans. So, when I was in the military, we had a problem in running over people, because you can't get that many under your truck, even if it's lifted, before you hang up on them. So I think it was fake. I don't know how they faked it, but it's very tragic if it was real, and I don't want to doubt it, if people really did, die, but I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, how could 80-some people, or how after like 40 people do people not quite get an idea that something bad is happening and start saying something's bad is happening? I don't. It's a stretch for me.
Yeah, it is. It's very suspect. I mean, I don't know enough about it, and I've seen some of the footage, and I've seen some of the analysis counterpoints, people pointing to this possibly being a false flag. I mean, interestingly enough, the guy had no money and somehow wired his family $100,000. Well thought out plan, had a bulletproof windshield installed. That's not cheap and not easy to do, and that would probably put you on the radar. Maybe not in some countries, I think in some countries, if you lived in Mexico, bulletproof cars are probably pretty practical and a nice thing to have for your family, but
just an option.
Just another upgrade. Yeah, from the part of the platinum package.
Yeah, would you like that?
Yeah, hold right there. We'll be back on the other side with so much more. Your calls as well. It's Blacklisted Radio.
Yeah, it's like, would you like that Volt bulletproof?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like that Prius resistant to landmines and IEDs? Oh yeah, sure. Oh. Yeah, Nice seems fake to me. I don't know. I mean, I saw the pictures, and it's very sad. I mean, you see people like next to loved ones, obviously, that are dead, covered up, and it's just that you know, what I've noticed is that people don't die in an orderly fashion. And I mean, I don't know. It's just, and the whole thing looks a little funny to me. It's just, all of it looks a little funny.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it really happened. I don't know how you'd fake it necessarily. I don't know. But I mean, that's one thing about Dems and damage control. There is like the whole Hillary emails thing, and of course nothing happened. I mean, did anybody think anything was going to happen? I don't know. I always, to me, that has just been the greatest, cover story to distract ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's great. Oh, she's going down. She's going down. It's like, come on. No, she's not. It's just not going to happen. And the idea of not being able to get access to the emails and not having the forensics and people to follow like the electron trail. I mean, I guess being in that line of work to some extent, I'm like, everything needed, it existed. And also, if you've ever worked with top secret stuff, if you ever had like a DoD clearance, I mean, if you ever, as an individual, get an email that is suspect, there's like protocols you have to follow. You're like stepping away from your computer. You're having a very bad day. You're calling somebody and your life could be over. It's such a big deal. And so in a sense, it's just the way top secret email and like and confidential stuff is handled like in the real world where people actually have to go through. Like, it makes me just think the whole thing was fake because, I don't know. If she did something wrong, it's just perplexing. It seems just like 100% fiction. I don't know. Just a big smokescreen cover story.
Yeah.
I mean,
something happened, but probably not what we're being told by the media.
The elite were not interested in taking her out.
Right.
If they had been, they'd have taken her out, but they weren't. So I only wondered, did the like elite decide to kick her butt?
And welcome back. Final segment here on Blacklisted Radio. It's been a fun show so far. We have Craig Simpson, the addition of him to the show as co-host and producer. So I expect you to get guests and come up with witty things to say here on the program.
Yes. Maybe next show.
Yeah. And I don't know. What do you think, Craig, about bringing another child into the world at this point in history?
I admire your optimism and your courage. I would say that I think it's cool. I really celebrate and I'm very happy for every child I see coming in the world that is brought into the world by smart people who do it consciously, like you. I would say so because it's scary. I myself personally, I don't know if I have. I don't know what I think. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if I have the same optimism, but then again, at the same time, I do. I guess really it is, you are choosing ultimately an optimistic worldview, and that certainly makes for a happier life. Because whether you're right or wrong, it's a happier life. But that's kind of a personal decision. I mean, you really have to believe it. So I just admire that, as smart as you are, and you're following events much more, much closer than I am, and you have an optimism and a hope for the world, and you kind of prove it by having kids. So that just it's
putting your money where your mouth is, right?
Yeah, I mean that is putting your money where your mouth is. So it makes me have more hope for the world. The fact that you're bringing kids into it, and they're going to be smart because you're smart. So I don't know.
Well, we hope. We hope. Yeah, we hope. I mean, this one, the boy shows signs of great potential. He's pretty smart. He's pretty witty. Wise a little bit, but what 2-year-old doesn't? But other than that, he's a gem. Sweetie, likes he's very affectionate, and I hope that we have a better world for him. Signs are pointing to, at least not in the short term, when you look at, I think with any period that you can go to in the world history, there's always been, people that were doing okay and people that were absolutely not. And 2016, it's no difference here. I think that we're pretty fortunate to be where we're at, not in a place like the Ukraine, not in China. There's a lot of places that your opportunities are completely limited, although ours are being more and more limited. But there still is opportunity here, so that is something. We'll just see how the cards fall for, and that's really what it comes out to. Is that if you are smart and you have a pretty good head on your shoulders, you're going to do a lot better than a lot of other people, even if you don't have the same amount of opportunities that people before us may have had. That doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities. It's just a matter of being able to seize those. And that's one of the reasons I do this show. I think people that appreciate it, because we do kind of give you a heads up and kind of put all of the political fear-mongering to the side and really talk about, topics and issues, I think, bluntly. And that is healthy, having a conversation, something that you can't do in a lot of other places. So we're thankful for that. I'm thankful for Ken there behind the glass producing the show. Thank you so much for being the co-host and taking the time, Craig Simpson.
Of course.
All right.
My pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back next week with another live edition of Blacklisted Radio. Hope you tune in. Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody.